Okay, so we know why. Well, just refresh my memory. Why is it important for students to understand Bell's 12 powerful words? Why is that important? Why do we want to know that? Callie?
Because it's going to be on island, and if you don't know what the words are, then you probably won't get the answer right.
That's exactly right, because you're going to see words like this on iLearn, and if you can't understand the question, then you're not going to be able to answer it correctly. Okay, everyone should be in their seat. Okay, so the first word is predict. Now that is a word that we are all fairly familiar with. An example sentence says, based on the debates, predict which candidate will win the election. What do you think the word predict means based on the sample sentence? What do you think it means to predict? We've already have some background knowledge about this. Sophie? You know what it means. Predict which candidate will win the election. What does that mean? What do you think is going to happen? So predict means, okay, so I heard someone say guess, and I want to talk about that for a minute. Predict means to say what you think will happen next. Okay? Now, someone said guess, and guess is okay as long as you're using your resources. What resources do we have that can help us to make a logical prediction? What might we look at to make a logical prediction if we're reading? What's going to help us make a good prediction? Okay, so we could use the title. What else could we use to help us to make a great prediction? Harper? Context clues. That's exactly right. What does the text say? Okay, what do we know about a character? Character traits. What else can we use? Yes.
Read the first sentence.
Okay, right. We can skim. Skim the text. Okay, we can use the pictures, the diagrams, the charts. And something else that we can use is our background knowledge. If I'm reading a book like Trouble River, a lot of you in here right now are reading the book Trouble River, and I know that Dewey and Grandma are getting on this very dangerous river in this raft that Dewey made by hand. I have some background knowledge that can kind of help me to predict what might happen, because I've been on a raft on a dangerous river before. I have 3 boys. I can visualize what they might do if they were trying to make a raft. Okay? I have tried to steer now I didn't steer the raft, but I have tried to steer a canoe, okay, on a shallow riverbed before, and sometimes it gets stuck. So I have background knowledge that can help me to understand what might happen. Okay, another word for background knowledge is schema. Do you know that word?
Yeah.
Okay, you can write background knowledge or schema, either one. But these are all things that help us to make great predictions. You know, if you're reading Trouble River and it takes place in the 1800s, you have some schema about the 1800s. Would it make sense for you to predict that when they get to Hunter City, they're going to go to the movies? Is that a logical prediction? No, because there are no movies in the 1800s, okay? So we have schema that helps us to make logical predictions. If you are talking right now to the person in front of you or behind you, you are being extremely disrespectful. Okay, so when we make a prediction, we can't just write in anything that comes to our head. We need to use the title, our context clues, character traits, our background knowledge. We can skim, we can scan, we can look at pictures, but we're not just writing random things and then saying, oh, we're done, we predicted. That's not going to cut it, and you're not going to get points for that. So now we need to look up the word predict. Okay? Who can go on dictionary.com and find the definition for predict? Go ahead and do it. Noah, what do you have? First of all, is it a noun, a verb, an adjective, or adverb? It's a verb. So that means that's an action word. When something tells you to predict, it's requiring you to come up with an action. What does it mean, Noah?
Say or estimate that a specific thing will happen in the future or will be consequence of something.
Say or what? What was the third word?
Say or estimate.
Estimate. That a specific thing will happen in the future. Is that all? Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Noah, is that the definition that you have?
Specific thing that will happen in the future or will be a consequence of something.
Okay, can you tell me what your source is? What website are you on? You need to click on it so that you go to a website. Remember, when we're citing a source, we have to click on it so we go to an actual website. What does it say in the search in the bar up at the top, the address bar? What?
Google.
Okay, Google is not a source. You have to click on it on that actual website. Okay, what do you have, Harper?
I have on dictionary.com declare or tell
What? And I heard something, an event.
or tell in advance.
I still didn't hear you. Declare or tell what? Okay, I need you to turn around and look at me and pull your mask down for a second and say it again. Declare or tell an event.
Advance. To declare or tell in advance. Prophecy or tell.
To declare or tell in advance. Prophesy or foretell. Foretell just means to tell before it happened. Prophesy means to tell before it happened. To declare or tell in advance. Okay, so you're going to declare what is happening in advance of it actually happening. And you can use in literature all of these things to help you. Okay, we can also make predictions in science and math. Okay, give me a synonym for predict. What's a synonym for predict? Nolan.
Prophecy.
Okay, prophesy. That's a good one. What else is a synonym? What else is a synonym? Yes.
Infer.
Not necessarily. You could infer based on a prediction, but you could also just infer that a person is feeling sad, and that would not really be predicting. Amanda? Foretell. Declare or tell in advance. I'm sorry, that's messy. Anyone else have one? Harper? Prophesy. What?
To say.
Pre-say? Pre-state.
Sitting there just like,
I'm having a hard time hearing Harper today. Okay, prophesy, foretell. I think those are both good. Give me an antonym. What would be the opposite of predicting? It's another reading skill that we do. But instead of telling it before, what does it mean when we tell it after? Connor? That's not what I was thinking of. Brady? I was thinking summarize. That's after you read, you're telling what happened. To predict is before you read, you're telling what you think will happen. Okay, who can use predict in a sentence for me? Who can use predict in a sentence for me? Liam.
I will predict that my dog is going to be 2.
Well, that's not really a prediction because he's going to turn 2. You know his birthday. Callie?
I predict Dewey and Grandma will get kidnapped by Indians.
Okay, I predict Dewey and Grandma will get kidnapped by Indians. And Indians is always uppercase. Okay, now, what illustration could you draw that might make you think of predict? Does anyone have something in their head, like an illustration that helps you think of predicting? Harper, can say it nice and loud so I can hear you.
Someone with a thought bubble thinking on what's going to happen.
Someone with a what? Thought bubble?
Yeah.
Thinking, like a person thinking? Yeah. You know what I'm thinking of? I don't know. Mrs. Brown and I are about the same age. I'm a little older. But we're close in age. And when I was little, my favorite movie was The Wizard of Oz. And in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy goes to a fortune teller. Do you remember that? And he looks into that glass ball. And he predicts, he sees something from her future. Do you remember that? Or from her past?
Yes.
So that's kind of, and that's obviously like a make-believe thing. But in movies, they often have like a fortune teller that can look in a glass ball and predict your future. Okay? So I think that's kind of an interesting one. Or you could draw a person with a thought bubble. You could draw a person looking out the window, predicting the weather, okay? But take a few minutes now and draw a picture or symbol that makes you think of making a prediction.